It's the fabulous and amazing Nick Dutch back again one more time, talking about weird things and being weird as is per usual. Right, now, the more I kind of look into this radionics thing as a method, the more I kind of like it, okay? It's fun, it's interesting, it allows me to be analytical as well as to be, eccentric and spiritual healing and all that kind of stuff. As is traditional, I don't turn around to people and say, it works, because that would be a bit crazy, but I'm thinking, right, because that's what I do. Maybe a bit too much, maybe a little bit too much in the way of nicotine replacement therapy products as well as strong tea, I don't know. But I tend to do an awful lot of thinking, and that's maybe where I kind of go wrong. Now let me explain myself, okay? And I'm going to kind of draw an analogy, because analogies are good ways of explaining things, although they're not complete, but on the other hand, the English language isn't very complete either, and words themselves can be misunderstood, misinterpreted, and all the rest of that, okay? Right, let's say you've got a washing machine, and it's faulty, and you're spending all your time trying to work out whether it's making the right noises and the rest of that. You're analysing it all the time, analysing it, thinking about it, observing it. You want to load it up, you put the soap in the drawer, you turn the dials and hope that it's clicking properly, and the noises it makes when it clicks when you turn the dial, you are hoping that's okay, and it's not because there's a bad spring or something in it. And you're thinking, is it actually going to work? You're anxious about it. And because you're anxious about it, you're both doing the action in terms of your instinctive manner of studying the hieroglyphics on the weird dial on the washing machine and the little drawer thing, and turning it and seeing the little lights come on. But you're analysing it. You're doing the thing and you're analysing it at the same time. With all of this weird stuff, it's like you got to turn the analytical observation bit off. That observation part of your mind's got to be turned off. So maybe that's why people appear to get results when they're doing stuff, when they're not thinking too much when they're doing it. I've been reading this book about the history of radionics, and I've been reading this section about Hieronymus. And Hieronymus did this thing, created these weird and wonderful, expensive, beautiful devices that we use for homeopathy and diagnosis and all that stuff. And he came out with all this theory of eloptic energy and the rest of that. But he also analysed the type of people who did various different things. And those who were scientists, they didn't seem to get any results at all and couldn't use it. But yet those who had a more a creative mindset, I suppose, or different types of mindset, we get different varieties of apparent success and abilities to diagnose the nature of the metal that was put in the receiver well, using the machine quite accurately in this dowsing kind of a way, alright, with a much higher percentage of chance, because they were different types of people, because they weren't analytical, they weren't being scientific when they were in the moment. Now, when you're going into ritual magic and the rest of that, there must be something about the starting of the whole procedure which changes your attitude and your state of mind, that state of either belief or just not being analytical, because you're just in that moment. I mean, okay, when you're out of it, you finish, you go back to reality and everything's different. It's like if you go to a place of worship, you're in that particular state of mind for it, okay? So when you're using this, which has the same functions as both divination and ritual magic, basically, by its very nature, okay, as well as spiritual healing and everything else, okay, because the codes that you enter into your board has a symbolic meaning. The codes that you work out on your dials, they have a symbolic meaning, connected to specific things. The symbols and sigils and numbers that you write down on your piece of paper, which you put onto your input plate, that's the input plate there, that has symbolic meaning. Everything's there to refine and focus your understanding as to what it is you want done. And then you got your little witness sample there. My fingernail clippings wrapped in masking tape, no plastic, it's also paper and natural and that sort of thing. And another little witness sample in there, little ghosty logo on it, lovely, good fun, very cute as well, okay? Right, so it's all kind of the same thing. It delivers an energy to that. I mean, when I was way back in those days when I was in the pagan movement, They would always say that like you use a drop of your blood or your, you know, whatever, to bind the thing to the operator. What does that mean? They didn't know. They didn't know the meanings of the words they were using. Alright? But my experiments with a spooky remote connected to a spooky frequency generator shows me by evidence, alright, by experience, which basically overrides, seriously, experience overrides any form of scientific theory. Okay, it overrides, you know, what you're told is real. Experience overrides that shit. Okay, that demonstrated to me that the for want of a better word, the energy of the frequency delivered by the frequency generator to your witness sample, your DNA sample, which is connected to you remotely over a distance of a few miles or whatever, actually does something. And it's not, there's no way that that could be down to suggestion or hypnosis or anything like that. No way at all could that intense reaction have been even remotely due to, alright, some kind of placebo effect. There's nothing that can persuade me that that's a placebo effect. No, fuck it. Okay, forget that. It's bullshit. It's according to placebo, is a sham. This stuff does something. So, information from that delivered to your DNA sample does something to your body, by experience, factually, accurately. Not as efficient as many other methods such as contact plasma and the rest of that, okay, but it still does something. So therefore, using a device like this also does something in its own little way. I had an experience a little while back that was crazy, because I was working with chakras, okay. You know what chakras are, okay. When I was younger, I did meditation with like a big clear quartz stone. I think it was actually this very one, and I think, or one very similar to it. And I placed that on the orange chakra, and I meditated, and I could feel heat going through the whole body. I mean, proper heat going through the whole body. So what I did also, and I don't know if I mentioned this in a previous video or not, I can't remember, is I did the same thing with this device, okay? And I put the suggestion, the signal, whatever it was, you know, talking about the orange chakra on the input plate, DNA sample there, used the dowsing tool, and there was this suggestion of a certain number of hours for, you know, broadcast in inverted commas, okay? At the end of that broadcast period, being about 10 hours, that's when I got the same sensation when I was sitting at my computer doing some work as I had when I was meditating with that crystal on my orange chakra way back in the day. Okay, are you with me? That delivers something to that which does something to your body objectively, okay? This did something to my body. It was all attached to the frequency generator, but why would it be that I got that specific reaction in my energy field at the time of the end of broadcast, as diagnosed by the Pendulum? You know, it happened. Okay, now I can't turn around to you and say, oh my god, this is going to like cure you of all your diseases and blah 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 blah. I mean, that would be like an over-the-top reaction. So if you're watching this and you're like looking out for hope for something which is going to cure you, I'm not going to give you that, because that would be morally repugnant for me to even try. Alright, yes, I've got health concerns. I'm using this alongside like loads of other little things I'm doing to help myself out, and I am doing it essentially for medical purposes, but I'm not going to say to myself nor to anybody else that this is like a cure. Okay, that is immoral. Therefore, that's why I don't use the phrase, it works, it works, it works, like all the other fucking 21-year-old little kids out there who think they're Merlin. Alright, it's not done. It's not appropriate. It's morally reprehensible. It's wrong. It's like kooky. It's inappropriate. So I'm not doing that. What I am doing is drinking far too much tea, taking far too much nicotine, and talking far too quickly. Right, okay, back on the subject of what else I've been playing around with. Oh yeah, when you're, for all you people out there who've got an Alexa, it's great for calculating powers, okay? Power, like 11 to the power of 10, okay? Ask Alexa, what is 11 to the power of 10, okay? And Alexa will tell you what the probability is of a particular combination coming out on this board. Okay, it's a big number. Okay, as we have 11 numbers, we got 0 down there, we got 10 up there for all the various different rows. So divining it, dowsing it, pendulum, having got your intention focused on something, you'll end up with a particular code. Now if you had that very same number of rune stones and then you had that one rune in your hand, okay, millions, billions, trillions to one, or whatever it is, that would be a pretty special runestone, wouldn't it? It would carry that meaning, carry that intention. This is my theory, okay? So this is what the board would then do, because you've got numbers, and that means that, okay? That means what it is you're trying to put out. You refine it even further through adding an extra 3 things to that, so you've got L11 to the power of 13, because you got the 10 vertical rows there, you got the 3 things here, and then that can then give you an even bigger number. Just ask Alexa, just do it. Ask Alexa, what is 11 to the power of 13? You'll get a big number, okay? It's a really, really, really big number. There's also this thing called base 44 rates. Now, if I can just wiggle my way around here, bear with me a second. Whoops, nearly kicked something over. That tells you how tidy my bedroom is right now. Okay. Right, now a base 44 rate is, instead of having 11 positions on here from 0 to 10, okay, 0 to 10, diddly diddly diddly, and so on and so forth. You have 0 to 44. So that's 45 number positions, okay? Now, right, okay, here we go. Now, let me just try and get a bit more organized. Me getting organized at this time on a Friday night, that's not going to happen, but we could try, and we can live in hope. So, bear with me a second. Okay. I'm sounding a bit hyperactive, I can feel like a mad scientist today, because that's the way I feel. So, imagine this is your 0 to 10 on your dial, okay? Obviously it wouldn't be relevant to the system because that's singular individual numbers. But if we break it down into fractions of numbers, okay, we can see that between 0 and 1 you can have 0 to 5. Okay, and you carry on in various different divisions, and I've written them all down here rather loosely. And it works all the way up to number 44 being number 10. So now you can ask Alexa what 44 to the power of 3 is. And then you'll get the probability of whatever that occurrence occurring is, right? Now, these wonderful people who make these cool devices, okay, are kind of labs. They're kind of like a lab with stupicanery type things. I mean, they make radionic devices, okay? And given the passage of time and cash flow and the rest of this, I'll, like, you know, get some more toys to play with, okay? They're going to open up, they're going to create, so it is rumoured, okay, down the grapevine, the various different weird and wonderful prophetic people who talk about these things are saying that, right, okay. They're going to get a 9-dial one of these things. So if you were to think about base 44, namely 45 different numbers for each and every single dial, and just ask Alexa, okay, just work it out. Don't work it out. Just ask Alexa to do it for you, okay. What is 45 to the power of 9? That'll give you a really, 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 really big number. And that will be the statistical probability of that coming out by random. And then if you can use, like, either dowsing pendulum with your intention and your question praise to the whole fucking devicey type thing, or the stick pad method, you can then, like, you know, you're stroking along here whilst turning the knobs, and all of a sudden you get it feels like there's a bit of friction, or something similar to it. Just like, why is that? That's kind of like your ideomotor response to that dial being turned to that one particular position, okay? You will then end up with something akin to a number occurring which has a particular meaning associated with your intention, what it is you're trying to project from the input, or the stuff you're putting in, the trend, to the output. And then you just see what the hell happens, and you forget about it. But, you know, as I say, like, it's not a question of watching it whilst you're doing it, watching it whilst you're twiddling the dials. You've got to be in the moments. This is probably why religious people get so many weird experiences, because religious people have learnt to turn their mind off. But the problem is that they would then say, oh, it's because I am of a religion. No, it's not because you're of a religion, because you're turning certain parts of your mind off, and you're activating new bits through being a person of faith. That's what it's all about, okay? Now, the intelligent people, they need to know when they have to be objective and clear-minded and sort things out in their life, and and analytical and scientific, and then when not to, and to have a system of suggestion in place so that they can then learn to not think, learn to not, care. And instead, during that window of time, that's when you're all kind of like open, you're empathic, you're emotional, you're focusing in on emotions, you're not being too analytical, you're just being there in the moments of like faith and transmission and sending and delivering. And maybe that's the thing that does it. And you send it through your boards, through your toys. And there's other ways of like programming the information so that it can't backfire on you. You send it down a black hole or something crazy like that, okay? Or you send it to help your crops grow if something bounces back to you energetically. That's the theory. That's the hypothesis. That's the mysticism or spirituality of it, okay? And it's a big field. It's a very big field. This is like lots of stuff going on with it. And so I'm curious, I'm experimenting, I'm exploring, I'm having fun. That chakra experience I got was a bit of a mind opener, a bit of an eye opener, different, oh my word, so focusing on the subtle energies, trying to use this stuff diagnostically on myself, because I'm not doing it on anyone else, because I don't see the point, because I'm obviously not an expert, and there's no point in turning around and thinking, hey, that crazy guy Nick, he's going to cure me of all my diseases. No, of course I'm not. I'm just a guy with a few toys, okay? Just a guy with a few toys. I'm just playing, I'm learning, I'm experimenting, I'm exploring. But it's cool. And, it's cool for me. It isn't cool for you. You probably prefer to, go down to a really good clothing store and buy some expensive clothes and hey man, that's cool, yeah, right, okay. Or you could try and develop some skills like I'm doing and having fun in that kind of a way and dealing with like hypothetical energies and all that kind of fun stuff, because that's what I am, And it's weird and it's wonderful and I'm doing it. So, being a bit too hyperactive today, it's been a great quantity of fun talking to you, and I hope every single one of you is having the most awesome time in your life, and I wish you the best day, week, month, year, and lifetime ever.